I welcome you to another session of our online lessons. We are discussing social studies for JHS1. Social studies for JHS1. And we are looking at citizenship and human rights. In our previous discussions, we have been looking at citizenship and human rights. We looked at how to become a citizen of Ghana or ways of acquiring Ghanaian citizenship. We looked at responsibilities of a good citizen. Then we also looked at human rights, the need to protect human rights. We looked at the forms of human rights. Then we continue to look at human rights abuse. We discussed groups that suffer abuse in Ghana the most, and we also looked at ways by which these abuses can be prevented. Today we are looking at institutions responsible for protection of human rights. Institutions responsible for protection of human rights. And by the end of the lesson, I'm expecting that the students will be able to identify institutions responsible for protecting human rights and outline the functions of these institutions. So you listen attentively and follow carefully. By the end of the lesson, we can achieve this objective. That is, that you can be able to identify institutions responsible for protecting human rights and also outline their functions accordingly. Great. Human rights protection institutions. The 1992 Constitution of Ghana has set institutions and mandated them to ensure that the rights and freedoms of the people are protected and safeguarded. And according to the Constitution, these institutions have been charged with the function of identifying issues of human rights abuse, preventing issues of human rights abuse, and also finding solutions to issues of human rights abuses, and also educating the populace, the people, on their rights. The institutions that have been set up by the Constitution include the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service, that's DOVSU, and then Amnesty International is also one of them, which is not actually established by the Constitution, but an international body which is responsible for also protecting human rights. Let's look at the NCC, the National Commission for Civic Education. This institution was established by the Constitution and given the mandate to be at the forefront of educating the people on their civic rights and responsibilities. And below are some functions of the NCC. They use lectures and other means to spread information on civic rights to society. They also connect with the media to channel information to the general public. Like in this recent voters registration program, see the NCC channels or connects with the media, that's the TV stations and the radio stations, and propagate advertisements that are actually information concerning the voters registration, all that the people need to know about it. That's another function of the NCC. Then it serves also as an advocacy body that advocates for human rights and ensures that the people's rights are not abused. It also serves as a lobby group. A lobby group in the sense that the NCC has smaller groups within institutions like secondary schools, universities, and primary schools, through which they form clubs, school-based clubs, by which children or the students are taught on their civic rights and responsibilities so that they also impact into the society what they have learned. Yeah. So if you don't have an NCC club in your school, talk to your teachers. They might help you get one. and be a part of it. Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ. SHRAJ was also established by the Constitution and mandated to identify persons who are treated unfairly by their employers and address such issues of abuse. And so the SHRAJ concentrates more on employee and employer rights protection, and also looks mainly at activities of people who hold public service offices to ensure that they don't abuse their offices. And these are some of their functions. They investigate all forms of human rights abuse and administrative injustice. They offer a platform for educating the public on their rights. That's the SHRAJ. And it also performs a watchdog role over public service and institutions of the state. To perform a watchdog role means that they keep a close eye on them and monitor their activities to ensure that they don't abuse their offices and abuse people's rights in the process. It also investigates reports of corrupt practices by public officials. So officials that hold public offices are also checked by SHRAJ, especially when there are reports of corrupt practices on them. The SHRAJ as a commission is headed by the commissioner and 2 deputies. So you take note of that too. You can read more about SHRAJ in your textbooks, or you can check on the internet to get more information on Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice in Ghana. Then finally, let's look at Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. The Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, DOVSU, is a unit of the Ghana Police Service which was established in 1998, and then it was called Women and Juvenile Unit, WAJU, because their mandate was to take care of the rising rates of domestic violence issues, especially on women and children, and that is why it was called the Women and Juvenile Unit, WAJU. In those days, it was observed that there were so many issues regarding domestic violence. This husband has beat the wife, that mother has put the child's hand in fire, and all that. That is, all these forms of violence and abuses that were going on at people's homes were being reported at police stations, and this was diverting the police attention to such jobs instead of concentrating on criminal activities and protecting the populace. And so the DOVSU, or the WAJU, was formed to take care of such issues. Later on, WAJU was changed to DOVSU, that is Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. They deal with cases like rape, incest, defilement, abduction, criminal abortion, unnatural carnal knowledge. And we say unnatural carnal knowledge. When we say unnatural carnal knowledge, we are talking about homosexuality, gay, lesbianism, and those things. So they deal with cases concerning that, and also they deal with assault or physical abuse, child trafficking, and threats on spouses. So these are some cases that are handled by DOVSU. Their functions are to investigate all reported cases of domestic violence, and also in collaboration with social welfare departments, they handle cases of lost children, destitute, and so on. They also educate the general public on what to do when they are abused or when their rights are abused. And so DOVSU is also a very, very important institution of state that works on protecting human rights and promoting social justice. Amnesty International is an international organization, but it also has this core mandate of protecting human rights, and they have played a very critical role in reducing child trafficking and sex trade in Ghana. So they are worth mentioning in our discussion. I hope you have learned a lot today. You can read more on any of these institutions from the internet, or you can check your textbooks for more information on these institutions. And if you have any questions, you can channel it to me. I'll assist you on that. Alright, to test your knowledge on today's discussion, you answer the following questions. Mention 2 institutions responsible for protecting human rights in Ghana. Then number 2, state 2 functions each of DOFSU and NCCE. So you state 2 functions of DOFSU separately, and then you state 2 functions of NCCE separately. So that will give you 4 answers. Alright, I wish you good luck. Continue observing all COVID-19 safety protocols. And most importantly, stay at home and keep learning. Bye bye.